Start streaming. Hello, I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here with...
And Tank.
We're still stepping on each other there. And we're here on the front lines against the deep state cabal, the Lumadonkey, and all those others. And I'm being attacked by a fly. What is going on
here? And the flies. We are against all of them.
Oh, it's just like I'm ready to dive bombing me from this side and that side. All right, Lisa. Well, that's a good way to do the intro, right? Flies coming at you. So
I think it just speaks that when we speak, Dan, we're manifesting things into existence. So
that's it.
So just be careful what you say.
Yeah, we just can't manifest a reversed green screen and with Trump in the background because that's forbidden.
Yes, that will go down as one of the 2 episodes of the lost episodes of the Dank transferred over to the front lines saga.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure we'll have some more interesting episodes to take its place. So, well, I know you had just sent me over a video. You want to cue up what we're going to look at here?
You know what? I think it'll kind of explain itself. I think there's a meme attached to it and everything. It'll make it real clear.
All right. Let me go ahead and get it set up. How come I don't see it? No. Switch
this. I love this guy. Representative Matthew Gates. That's who this is.
Okay.
And
I would invite my Democratic colleagues to go to my official Twitter account where I have posted an interview from January 9th, 2019. It was on CNN, not exactly a hostile network for you folks. It's Jim Clyburn. Well, let me just play what the question was.
The president said there's a humanitarian crisis at the border, is there?
Absolutely not.
The president said there's a humanitarian crisis at the border, is there?
Absolutely not.
The president said there's a humanitarian crisis at the border, is there?
Absolutely not.
The president said there's a humanitarian crisis at the border, is there?
Absolutely not.
The president said there's a humanitarian
Point of order.
crisis at the border, is there?
Is it appropriate for a member to just put on a loop a teeny soundbite out of context? Is that allowed?
The gentleman controls the time. I'm not aware of any rule that would preclude him from doing so.
I just think that's quite something. That when you're fed back your own words from your own leadership from earlier this year, you think that's out of context and inappropriate and not allowed. And the Democratic whip laughed. Absolutely not. Laughed. Thought it was laughable. Thought it was funny. You know who doesn't think it's funny? The Trump administration, because Secretary McAleenan has been ringing the warning bell for months about the crisis. He begged you all to take action more quickly. And so it is appropriate to question why we are in these conditions, but it wasn't the Republicans that were in denial. It was all of you, and it was in your own words from your own leadership. Be offended with the Democratic whip, not House Republicans.
Yeah, there you go.
Gates in the house, dropping the bomb on them. I love that. I love that. First of all, I love that he didn't just play it once. He played the loop over and over and over again and had it queued up on his phone, which is awesome. because honestly, it's a joke. This whole
Point of
process.
order. Point of order. Is it appropriate to basically throw our words back in our face?
Yeah.
Again and
Take
again
this,
and
this
again.
tiny clip out of context. What's the context? I mean, think about it. There's that is one. It's not out of context. He showed this is the question referring to the border. That was the context. This was the response. Absolutely not. From Elijah Cummings, it sounded like to me. Who's just a fat meatball, useless, right? Who is so used to stealing from us that like that's just normal, right? This is the normal process. And yet they've spent every second of every hour of every day trying to impeach Trump, right? Because their worst nightmare is happening right now. You have all of these, they're coming with it every day and they say, okay, 5,000 new files were released today from Epstein that names names. Before those came out, there was people that stepped up and said, please don't let my name out, right? And I mean, at least that guy had enough, whatever. I mean, he might have, who knows who he was, but the point is that when those names start coming out and suddenly you have all the things that have been dismissed as insane, not credible conspiracy theories about Pizzagate because Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton are just like, oh, pish posh, that's ridiculous. We don't need silly conspiracy theories about Pizzagate. And they just dismissed it, threw it to the side. But now you're talking about a massive worldwide conspiracy, trafficking children, and who knows who else, and direct ties to the Clinton Foundation. You have the exact same with, I mean, and not just the Clinton Foundation, I mean, one of many, I mean, all of Hollywood is being brought into this, right? So all these jackass, just evil-spirited, mean-spirited, hateful people from Hollywood, right? Who are they hate President Trump. I mean, Kathy Griffin came out with like the severed head of President Trump, like a wax sculpture covered in blood, right? And just, I mean, how is that even acceptable? I mean, this is the same kind of behavior you can see from like terrorists who are, in another country where they can, run their mouth about America and be like, death to America. It's the same kind of thing happening in Hollywood. And there's absolutely no logical reason for it. None. I mean, we've had plenty of people that were obnoxious, right? That people in the United States, we love obnoxious. To act like all of a sudden like, oh, this guy's crazy. Why? Because he doesn't want to take away our freedom, doesn't want the government to take care of everything in our life. And who's advocating for this, right? As if they're so humanitarian. These, all these various people who have benefited, sold their soul to the devil. They've had great lifestyles on this, in this program of, they've already compromised themselves, right? They've already sold out, and they've had wonderful lives. And meanwhile, their cities are in absolute squalor. They're there's actually a feces map in these cities, like San Francisco, Seattle, and LA, right? To how to walk around and avoid the feces.
Wow. Wow.
And this is what is happening in every socialist city that has been, where the Democrats are going to take care of everybody, right? And these great programs. And they have the nerve to turn around and blame Trump. Giuliani came out, I don't know if it was today, but I saw it today, and he was saying how it breaks his heart to see what de Blasio has done to New York. Now, people will have different opinions on, Giuliani, and I'm not saying he's never participated in something, that's off. But he's clearly been turned, right? Mm-hmm. And I will say this, he has always loved New York. And you know what? People from New York, they love New York. When you see what this scumbag de Blasio has done here, he's turning it into this, a third world country city, and then has the arrogance to look at President Trump like he's doing it. You think President Trump is going to make New York? I mean, there is few things in this world that are more New York than Donald Trump.
Right.
I mean, that dude is everything that New York is, right? Like clean cut, like he's been like the playboy of New York City for 30 years, right? Now we look at him kind of like he's older, but he's still got.
He's a statesman.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like Trump is the man. He embodies a whole American dream, right? It's like anybody would want to be part of, what he's about, like who he is,
Right.
And even if you don't like him, you'd be hard pressed to say like the guy wasn't cool. I mean, like look at all he's done, So it's they're trying to take all the things that they loved about him away, right? All these insane, awful, like The View. My God, The View is a tragedy. All they do is just promote hate, and they're all coming out against Trump, and they're going back through history, and they're showing all these incredible interviews with Trump, and you realize, like wow, this guy's been rock steady in his stance on things,
Right.
since like the 80s.
As though he has a plan on what to say. Yeah, I know. But the other side is that, I mean, doing business in the in a very corrupt city, in a very corrupt industry, and remaining clean. How does that happen?
You know what? And I'll tell you, and I get it, because you can just associate with someone, and they, and inevitably people will assume like you were part of what they were doing, right? So there was a big slander, this whole thing about Epstein enslaved this young girl, and they brought Trump in, right, on that to try to make him a target. But when interviewed, the girl admitted like we were told to add him as well. But it wasn't true. And they have this whole story about it. And I'll tell you, I bid on it. I believed that before, like years ago. And so, like, I can understand the ignorance and attached to the hatred that you.
I do remember that. And but it didn't seem right when it just didn't seem like that was correct. If something was wrong, because I've been watching Trump all this time. I mean, I admired him, right? From everything everything he did, all the way up to The Apprentice. I even like to watch The Apprentice, and I didn't really like reality shows so much, but I kind of like The Apprentice, and but when that kind of negativity came out, that doesn't make any sense,
To me it did. To me it was like, they're all this way, and I gotta be honest, that was my own ignorance. I was wrong, and now I mean I'm a huge advocate for President Trump. I believe in him. I believe in what he's doing. I believe he's making very hard decisions. That what, if he steps a different way, I give him the benefit of the doubt now, because I'm like, he's made so many positive, so much positive momentum forward. And right now I can't even imagine in my life it has ever been this transparent. And I can't tell, was I so blind that I never paid attention and it's always been like this? Or is right now just an absolute train wreck where, like, it's just awful? I mean, it is the things that they're coming out with. And the censorship that is happening on social media is terrible. It is so obvious. I mean, think about this. Dan, we were live. You and I were live, and I was showing pictures that were loading on my phone. As we would get to the picture, they would block it. If it was like valuable pictures, I mean, we have video of that happening, right? That happened live. You are censoring. They are censoring, right? Like, why is it online? Why are you censoring it? So things like that. It's mind blowing to me.
Yeah, this is definitely complete First Amendment issue. We need to be able to say whatever we want, and no one has to. If some people don't like what you say, they can go like this and go like this. They don't need. Yeah, you can not participate in the conversation. It's up to you, but to have someone come in authority to basically say what you can say and not say, what you can hear and not hear. That's a totalitarian state, and it does not end well.
Well, this is actually talked about in the Declaration of Independence, right? They call out the king for having laws and then intentionally not enforcing the laws, right? And it actually addressed this very specific kind of series of things that he would do, and take the leaders in certain areas and take them out of their comfort zone and put them in a position where they couldn't really do anything, right? And so it's a methodology at that point, right? Now, I got to tell you, we are going to file a suit. We're going to file a civil suit, and I'm not sure what else that entails yet. I'm kind of learning it, but I did start to draft the actual the letters up that we were sending with certified mail to the the Department of Justice and the White House and about 50 other places that we're sending these to. And we are going to file a lawsuit against Merck and Company, the pharmaceutical company, as well as the Food and Drug Association, Association, and the CDC, Center for Disease Control, and also I think HHS or the OCR, the Office of Civil Rights. But I'm not sure if it's that one or the HHS. I think it's probably HHS. And then also, I'm not sure where to file this one yet, and I'm getting advice on this, but probably Cuomo directly is who I would. It'd be a dream come true. I want to sue Cuomo so bad it hurts so much. I want to drag him through the weeds and let everyone see what a fraud that he is and the horrible things he's doing. But so I have the ground letter, right? Actually, it's a racketeering, based on the racketeering laws from the RICO. It's an acronym for racketeering something, right? It's like for organized crime, right? It's the basically if the commitment of a crime and then the racketeering or the organization to continue to commit this crime, right? So you realize, and this is what's insane. So I talked to a very, very prominent lawyer today, Paul Young, who is, to seek his advice for this. And Paul Young is actually, he's one of the first guys back in the 80s who went after them for this kind of thing, like for the various injustices going on in the government, right? And, they put him away for 4 years. But he actually wrote the book on these things. So he gave the book away. So he wrote the book and gave the book away so everyone would know, right? So he gave it out to like thousands of people. And then in the book that he wrote, during that time, his two partners, they both got killed, right? Because when you go to speak out about these things and you actually call them out on what's happening, which now I'm not going to say this in the lawsuit because, it'll be too far. They would never admit this, but, that it's a genocidal agenda, right? It's population control. But Bernie Sanders was just out yesterday or the day before, and he said outright that he is for population control, and he even explained it to talk about people that would not be viable to continue to get certain services, right, for healthcare. So in all his talk about universal healthcare, he's saying outright, like, what, if we don't deem that you're worthy to be alive,
yep,
then you won't get service. And this is all eugenics. The reason why they're allowing people to flounder on the streets in LA is because they want to kill them all, right? They want them addicted to heroin because they know that if you're addicted to heroin, you are, especially when you have nothing, you are highly likely to overdose on heroin, right? Because this is the only space you have where you feel normal and you overdose on heroin. That happens every day, right? So they're doing that intentionally, right? To kind of get rid of these people that they consider to be bottom feeders, whatever, however they categorize them. Unworthy. They don't deserve to have life. So they want to get rid of those people. So anybody in those areas, that is what they're doing. And I would love to have a debate about that, right? With somebody who actually has, somebody in the Democratic Party who has some relative intelligence who would want to talk about this.
There aren't anymore.
It's scary, actually. It's scary how ignorant, how committed to it, right? It's like somebody, it's like Jim Carrey a few years ago, right? He was in that movie, it was like where he played Andy Kaufman.
Oh, yeah.
And he was amazing. He was amazing movie.
Yeah.
He was so committed to the role, though. It took him a while to come out of the park, right? I mean, he was that committed to it. But that's how I feel like the whole Democratic Party is right now. They're so committed to the role. It's like, hey, guys, you're really going to get yourself killed. Logic should set in at some point, and you should wake up to what you're doing.
Well, I noticed that it was really a purge that went on when Lieberman didn't, that they ousted him. He had to run again as an independent, not a Democrat. He was a leading Democrat, right? But he was, fairly, normal, like left-leaning Democrat, but he went up against them, and they pulled him from the party. They didn't give him the nomination, but he ran as an independent and won. But at that time, I said, look, the purge has started, from the Democratic Party. They're only going to leave the socialists. So, I'm not surprised there's no one left. But
their only option is to cheat and steal the election. The only way in on this whole planet, the only possible way to do it is if they find a way to cheat the election. Is to bring in so many 22 million immigrants, is what they said, illegal immigrants, then they are fighting for their right to vote. Even though in our country, so in this lawsuit, now, in a RICO lawsuit, basically you need to have it in writing, right, that there's been damage done, or there's been, laws broken, and there's a reason to have the suit, right? So I cannot believe, I was talking to this lawyer today, and I kind of laid it out to him, and obviously with a very kind of humble voice, because I was like, I think this makes sense, right? And he was like that, and he said, no, those are right, and the things I laid out are, for example, in 1985, you had 400 people that were killed by the swine flu, right? So this is where they introduced, the pharmaceutical companies were like, look, we're not going to, keep making your vaccines. So because obviously there's a different agenda, right? We're not going to keep making your vaccines if you don't give us some kind of immunity. So because they deemed, with absolutely no research, nothing to back it up at all, other than, as a matter of fact, more people have died from that one swine flu vaccine than all the people combined since then in the entire world from the measles. Right?
Right.
So the swine flu kills 400 people that year. So they come up with this, whole, child protective whatever system, right? That is basically going to, is going to say like, okay, if someone is damaged by vaccines, then there's this fund that will pay for the damages, right, to those people. Now, from that fund, if you pay out on something and admit those damages are there, that becomes evidence that is now legitimate that you can enter into court anyway. So there's been several cases where autism was caused directly from vaccines. Now, if you say that to someone who believes in vaccines, they'll look at you like you are insane.
Right.
Right? But there's more records, there's more cases of kids getting vaccines, right? Or getting vaccines and getting autism directly from the vaccine. Then there are cases of someone dying from measles, right? There's more cases from autism that they paid out, millions of dollars for. That's one thing. Now, but here's the stipulation that RFK revealed, right? In this, they ruled that the governments, or the pharmaceutical companies and the FDA, and I think the CDC was involved in that as well, they had to demonstrate that there was that every 2 years they had to come out with a report showing that the safety of the vaccines and the efficacy was improving every 2 years. RFK just requested that information in 2016, 17, and they couldn't produce it. They didn't have a single report. They should have at least 16 reports. They didn't have any.
So it means that they need to stop the whole program because it's against the law.
That's right. So because they did not follow up with their monitoring. Now, the HHS was supposed to do that as well, right? They were supposed to help monitor. So that means they're grossly negligent, right? Because this is something that affects 2 generations of Americans, right? So in this, they're either grossly negligent or worse, they are, I want to say they're aggressively hostile, intentionally drugging humanity. So it's one or the other, right? Either one, though, means you better stop the vaccines right now. Either one. I'm saying if we just look at the lawful way by which that they set up, right? Now that's the first thing. The second thing, now remember, all this is in writing. So there's written cases where we know vaccines do cause autism. It's a fact. Like the government has even paid people out for this, but you couldn't do anything about it because the pharmaceutical companies, they had no liability. So when you go back and say, well, the FDA, they didn't follow up and do their reports, well, that was what gave the pharmaceutical companies the luxury not to be liable. That was the mandate. So they didn't follow the mandate, which means the whole thing's gone. You can remove the whole thing. Now you have to have an injunction to stop the vaccine because they are in violation, right? They don't even have any evidence. Now, because you could say, if you wanted to argue with me, like in court, let's say, right? You'd say, well, vaccines are effective, everybody knows that. And I should be able to say, well, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Show me the reports from the FDA. There should be 33 years of reports.
Right.
And when I ask you to do that and you can't because they didn't do their job, then it's out. I should win automatically on a technicality, first of all. But then, so once you do that, immediately let's go back 33 years and say now, because they never did the reports, you can't give them immunity.
Right.
So now you have to say they are liable. So now that the drug companies are liable,
Yeah.
now let's go back and say, now we take the false claims reports that were submitted to the government, legally, officially, affidavits, under oath, from Merck's own virologists, saying that not only was the data inaccurate, they told them to spike the data with animal DNA to falsify it so they could continue to give us vaccines. And furthermore, there's more evidence, I mean, so much evidence, there's more evidence that vaccines do absolutely no benefit. This is actually out in London, in England. Their version of the CDC.
I want to point out something that a lot of people don't realize, that there is actually a difference between an immunization and a vaccine. So an immunization, say like the polio, there was a polio vaccine, right? So that one I got when I was a kid, right? So, but an immunization, is I don't know. I'm trying to think about. Maybe I have I should have. Let me do some research first before I bring this up because I'm already thinking.
Yeah.
I'm already stumbling. I know I had this example from a long time ago about the differences between the two. But anyway.
I mean, I don't know what they specifically are either. I was very tuned in to see what you were saying, but I do know when they say that they're going to immunize you, then you should be immune.
Right, immune.
From that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen, right? Now, a vaccine could immunize you if it was done right.
Well, I think the vaccine gives you the antibodies. It's supposed to give you the antibodies. I think that's correct. And the immunization is you can't get infected. I guess is the main difference is you can't get that disease because you're immune to it. But anyway, it's something like.
But at the end of the day, that's just not true, right? Now, I mean, it's not true that the current vaccines are certainly not.
Sure, I mean, there's no evidence, right? They haven't done the reports, and they don't have to file anything ahead of time. They just go ahead and your test population is the population.
Right. So now think about this. So now you go back and you start hitting up Merck, and you say, well, why did your own virologists do this? And then wait, there's more, because in New York, the MMR was, like the same day that Governor Cuomo took it. And he signed it into law, taking on religious freedoms here in New York without a public hearing. The same day, Merck invests $48 million into one of his programs to create 115 jobs. I mean, really? I mean, that seems like an incredible coincidence, right? That Merck, who makes the MMR, that we know your own virologist came out and said, these results aren't accurate, right? So now you're looking at a pattern of behavior that actually speaks to racketeering. Now, everything I just said is all in writing, official documentation. This has all been. So because I was trying to really consider, like, how could a judge throw that out? Because you can't. You can't. Now, because all those things are real. They all happen. And now the next thing is they've taken our right of informed consent, which we are guaranteed because of what happened during World War II and the Holocaust, It is a crime against humanity. So now you're breaking federal laws already. So now, furthermore, to impose on us that we have to take a vaccine, which there's more evidence that the vaccine will do harm to someone than there is evidence that it will help someone. So in New York, think about these numbers, Dan. In New York, there was 880 cases of the measles in New York. And people were freaking out. They said, it's an epidemic, right? We need to stop it right now. There's an outbreak of measles. 880 cases out of 20 million people makes it a 0.000044 chance of anyone contracting the measles, right? Now, here's another statistic. Based on if we were to look now, if the FDA had done its job, but because it hasn't, and they haven't done the job, but what they have done is they've allowed an experimental drug to come on the market. What that means is every human that it's used on has been part of a test subject. They've been a test subject for an experiment because it's an experimental drug. If I'm taking it, you're forcing me to take it, that means I'm part of the experiment. So now, in this, if I were to take another community that has not been vaccinated, but lives in the same place, versus the community that doesn't live here, right? Or that is been vaccinated. So 1 out of 88 people of children born that are vaccinated end up having autism. But in the Amish community, where they don't vaccinate, 1 out of 27,000. Now, we both live here in the United States. We live in the same borders. We drink the same water. We're not so different, right? Now, we might not be on a horse and buggy, and maybe they're away from television and things like that, but either way.
And they're not drinking the same water. This is a little side note,
but it should be the same water, right? It should be the same water, if you think about it, because
most people, they go from wells, and the other people are getting processed water with chlorine added, and other things. So, it's another attack against the people through.
Well, yeah, that's only going to reinforce the fact that they're trying to genocide us. But on the basis of, if I were doing a comparative study, I have to do an open study where I can look at these things, right? It can't be based on clinical trials because they've already dismissed and said, well, we don't need clinical trials, we'll experiment on you. So if you're going to experiment on me, then there has to be a way to evaluate the data. So I need a control group, which is the Amish, and a regular group, which is us. Now, all of us got the drug. Now, 1 out of 88 of us are kids that have autism. The Amish, 1 out of 27,000. That means the risk for getting autism from vaccines is, I don't even know, it's like 1,000% more than you ever contracting measles. Now, who would rather take the risk of measles, which has killed 3 people? 3 people since 2000, right? Who would rather take the risk of getting the measles, which is not even really life-threatening for the most part, versus having a child grow up that you have to take care of until they're an adult with autism that you could have avoided? That's a tragedy. Now, that is irreparable harm that has been done to, millions of people. And on top of that, right now, I was thinking about this. Every person who's about to, get this vaccine imposed on them, I was thinking about this. I'm like, oh my God. If suddenly, because, autism sets in late, this happens. They get these vaccines later, and all of a sudden they can just develop autism. You have a perfectly normal kid, and they become autistic because of the vaccines. Because it causes microstrokes, which leads to the equivalent of like dementia or Alzheimer's for kids. So, anyway, so there's that. So, usually when people file these lawsuits, right, they get killed. So, I talked to a lawyer about it because he's still alive, and I was very impressed by that alone. And, we were talking about our strategy, and he gave me some good advice. But I'm not at all worried about that because right now I feel like they're falling apart, right? Everything that the cabal has to offer is falling down. And I feel like this is something we can actually do and gather together. So if there's any lawyers out there or just legal professionals or, anybody who wants to participate in that, please contact me and let me know. I'm not sure if it's going to be a civil suit yet. I've talked to some lawyers about it. I will put my name on it so that it's, I am the one suing. That way, if they're going to track somebody down, they can come knocking at my door, and if they really want to threaten somebody and think that they're going to intimidate me somehow, but I'm not worried about that. But I say, let's take the fight to them, Dan.
Yeah, I've just did you contact that lawyer I sent you the info on?
No, I'm going to contact him. I was going to call him the other day, and it was so late. Every time I go to call him, I just feel like it would be inconsiderate.
He is
late.
he is on the East Coast.
Yeah,
Just so you know.
I'm up late, and I have odd hours, but
He's not.
So I was going to call him one night.
He's not. I would say don't try past 9.
Yeah. No, I'll call him in the morning on a weekday.
That'd be better. Yeah, I'll leave a message. If he doesn't answer, just leave a message. Tell him my name, and he'll get back to you. But there's good resources there, good people to bring into it. There's a team that know the law, that know it in a way that is very, like Ron Davis, right? That's know that depth of things and know how to make it to where they win. And they've gone up to the Supreme Court level on things. So it's
I'm going to send this when I draft this letter after we after file. I'm going to send it to everyone. I'm going to send it directly to the Supreme Court, because I'm going to send it to the White House. I'm going to send it to Congress, and I'm looking for the way. I want to know, can I sue Congress? Because they're the one that passed this and didn't make sure it was enforced. Stop passing laws if you don't intend to enforce them.
Can't sue Congress.
I don't know why though. I mean,
well,
obviously
they made the law that says you can't sue us. That's why, and you're in their courts. I get it. You can try them in the court of public opinion. I always thought it would be interesting to get to the point where you're actually conducting trials. Outside the get a protest thing and just make a mock trial up, right? Faux trial. That basically bring in the lawyers, argue the cases in front of the buildings that the trial should be in, right? And have the people come together as juries and present the evidence and present both sides. That is lawful. That's what we're supposed to do, because anybody can call a grand jury. Anybody. Right. If you identify wrongdoing, you're allowed to call a grand jury. Now, that much I know how to do it. That's why I need to talk to your lawyer. Yeah. Because I don't want to walk into their court, in an admiralty court, right, and try to win. It's like having a swimming contest with a fish, right? Like ask them to remove the flags.
Does that matter?
Yeah, and then it's not admiralty court anymore. Actually, interested. It's that symbolism means things, right? I mean, this is really what's being conducted here.
Yeah, you have to know the etiquette to go in there.
You do. Yeah, I mean, it's very complicated. It's meant to be complicated. So, but we've got good people that understand it and know how to deal with it and have been successful. If there's, they do things, in a way that because they know how they can get it to where the ruling needs to take place, right? Which is difficult, right? How do you have standing? They know how to maneuver it into the right positioning. So, but yeah, it's still a slow process, but go for it, get it done.
Well, one of the things I heard this lawyer say was the attorney for Linda Collins-Smith, and she knew that the woman right now who's accused for Linda Collins-Smith, she's in jail right now. She's facing the death penalty, and they're accusing her of murdering Linda Collins-Smith. And they're probably threatening her and blackmailing her and trying to get her to submit and harassing her, which Arkansas, all over, there's a record of that, right? But I was listening to this conversation between her and Amy Higgins, and she was saying, well, we're all just trying to keep our head down and just letting the mainstream media do their job. What? Their job is to deceive the public, and according to the CIA, which we have on record, right, Project Mockingbird,
Right.
to control our perception of things. And she was like, and then she advised her, stay quiet. She goes, one thing the courts don't like is when you involve the public and you try the court in the mainstream. Well, how is that working out for us? Staying
Right.
quiet. How's it working out for everybody out there who's stayed quiet and played the game, right?
Right.
Like Amy Hankins, who did whatever she was told to do. They negotiated terms with her instead of going public, and they lied to her, said, we'll give your kid back in 3 days if you plead no contest to this battery charge. Then put her in jail for 14 months. And took her children.
Yeah, one of the courts, the Admiralty Court's main founding rules that they go by is you don't make rulings that will incense the population. You do not do things that are so far to the other side that people just literally storm the building. So they make sure that it's incremental. It's just slightly going in that direction, and they're working on decades to maneuver things into the where they want them to be, the rulings. So they just twist things just slightly along the way. So being out in public and speaking about these things and getting everyone up in arms is the thing that they don't want to have happen. Right? Because then they're forced to retreat. That's why they don't want it to go out into where everybody knows what's going on.
You know what? And that's exactly why I'm going to try every single piece of this in broad daylight. I'm going to put it out every hour of every day. I'm going to have a 24-hour feed, nonstop, talking about everything that we're doing, all the crimes they've committed against humanity, all the ways they continue to manipulate us, all of the effects that are known. Actually, on the package inserts for the vaccine, it actually says that this product has not been studied for carcinogenic, to see if it's carcinogenic or mutagenic, which the ingredients in it include the leukemia virus and the avian leukemia virus and the complete genome of a human aborted fetus, which that by itself, by the way, the law that George Bush passed, George Bush said the fetuses that are already harvested, that are already in possession, the stem cells, you can use those. But you can't go to Planned Parenthood and get any more. That's the law.
Right.
So and oh my gosh, if nobody has seen this, you've got to grab this article up. I will pull it off, but this article that talks about what they did, how this reporter in California, he went undercover to Planned Parenthood at a convention, right? And it was like a public convention, right? With people close enough by that he's recording, and they were talking about the way they would harvest these children, sell the fetuses, right, and sell the body parts, how they would try to get, sometimes the babies would be born alive, and they would have to kill them. Openly, they're talking about this, right? And how they would look for top dollar and how it's better to sell the parts than the whole baby. But there's one group that wants to study the heads of the baby, so they're trying to make sure they pull the whole head out. I mean, it is anybody who is, even if you're pro-abortion, are you pro-killing baby? I mean, like, a baby that's born alive, this is what they're doing. And these morons, Kamala Harris, they went after the reporter. What? They went after the reporter. I mean, wait, she just confessed on tape to killing a live baby to sell it for a couple $100.
Right. Yeah, I saw it. I was totally aghast. These people are talking. I'm going. Why do they hate women so much? Right? Because that energy that they're now, that woman that just lost the child, right? They're now going to have experienced that the baby was born alive and now killed in front of them. What is that going to do to that mother? Because she went in there willingly to do it, right? But then that happened.
I mean, what they would have the obligation to do at very least, and I'm sure I know what they did. They actually described one of them as the baby dropped out, right? It was alive. And they just pull to the side, cover the mother's eyes, and get her out of the way. Because that's the methodology. And actually, they described it how they would knock the mother out. So So it's not even necessary, right? If you were doing like a basic DNC to like, pull out, like when a woman has an abortion, not abortion, when a woman naturally miscarries, they'll do a DNC afterwards to pull out any, material that's still left in the body. And they're basically doing a DNC. But I don't, if you read the article, they also said they've modified legal practices of abortion.
I saw a video like an Operation Veritas, sorry.
Okay.
And so I saw them talking, and talking about it with the hidden camera, facing at them, and it's like these people. I'm just wondering why. Literally, I was thinking is that these women hate women, because every one of them was a woman. And
well, it's worse than they hate life. They hate life.
They hate life.
They hate themselves. They hate life. How could anyone? Like a baby's born. You're a doctor. Your job, like unless you are some weird Nazi, evil doctor, which probably I guess is how could a baby, a living child, how could you hold that baby in your hands and you have an oath to do no harm?
Right.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. No, it is definitely sickening overall. I really, really amazed that it's like this. Well, I don't know if Trump can actually make another emergency situation like to end the vaccines because of they're not being studies and they didn't keep up their records. Just stop it. I don't know if it's possible, but I would hope that we could stop this. I don't know what to do to help my daughter. Not immunize the children. All she did was she wouldn't allow them to do it. In all at once. What they want to do is like pow all of these in at one time, right? And she just said, no, we're gonna spread them out. I guess that at least helps my grandson deal with it. Maybe he's able to deal with it. I pray that he's going to do well. Actually, I was going to ask you for that information about what's for cleansing, so that he can be cleansed of these things. If you can pass me the info.
Yeah. Actually, I'll tell you. One of them that's easiest is grapefruit seed extract, which is grapefruit seed extract, and it actually, grapefruit seed oil, and it actually is very alkaline. It's not acidic. People think it is. It's much more alkaline. It actually will help. But just I forget the number of drops. It actually will give instructions, but that actually reverses the binding effects that the aluminum and things like that would have, because aluminum naturally binds to other components. It's just how it works. And then the idea is when you combine that with the full human genome, then it will naturally assimilate to that body. Because it's all stem cells, right? So now you incorporate stem cells that are basically weakened with, various toxins, at least 13 different toxins. And, I was reading the report. Some of them have, 300 ingredients that are all active, and they don't know what they do. They're all signals, right? So in your body, in your genetics, and in your cells, when you have signals that are active in a vaccine, they're basically like, it's like coding a computer. It's like, oh, this one means something, this one doesn't. It's saying things, but they don't know what it means. There's no record of what these signals are. So why would you have 300 additional signals in the body that you don't, in this drug, and you don't know what they do? Somebody knows, right? And I guarantee it's not giving anybody like superpowers, right? So, which, by the way, if it did, I would be totally pro-vaccine if it was like giving superpowers, but it doesn't.
Well, you just have to get the one that has the radioactive spider, biting, someone, and then they extract that and put it into that DNA in. The superpowers are coming. I just saw that there's the telepathy part. They're now have implants for telepathy.
Yeah, of course that works both ways, right? It's like, oh, great, I can read people probably think they're reading the thoughts of everyone else. But you know what? You know what makes it really easy to read the thoughts of other people and be able to communicate that way? When you're all connected to the same motherboard because you are the board. Right?
Yeah.
So now everybody is getting the same message because you don't have any independent thought of your own.
Yeah. No, I just saw something like that. I know the technology was in development for a long time, but I just saw that they now are literally putting that in chips and antennae. Yeah.
Inside.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, inside, not that way, but.
We're not far, but you said
Not
we're not far from that, right? They're trying to do that with the chemtrails. So.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Actually, yeah. That's that whole series where it's this fungus related spider entity. It kind of starts as kind of a fungus and it kind of morphs itself into a spider. But it lives on a higher energy level, right? And it's just using it draws in the energy from the spores they've left behind in the people, right? And so that energy transfers to them at this higher plane. It's a remarkable, system. But are they the archons? Is that really what they are? It's hard. I won't discount anything like this. It's worth studying to know. But there's obviously something going on there, and blanketing the whole planet with this, in the chemtrails. It's definitely something that it makes sense for, taking over. And it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's an alien invasion, right? But it's done on this very subtle way, right? It's again incrementalized, right? They get slowly over time. You end up becoming the battery for these other beings. Is that also they also the ones that are looking for loosh? Is that also part of their food? Don't know.
You know what? Here's how I see it. I actually, because remember, I am about solutions, so that's the only reason why I'm even mentioning this, like in the lawsuit, right? I want to put it out there. I know I cracked the code, right? As far as which I'm sure lots of other people have too, right? But I don't know how many people crack the code that actually have a pretty public following. We had a show. There was a show in Germany, right? And they talked about Kim, Thomas, and I, right, or me. And in that show in Germany, there was 220,000 people who watched it, right? And then they sent something to Lisa. They were looking for Lisa, my co-host. I'll speak on the tank and Lisa. And they were looking for her, and there was 94,000 people who watched this little clip about Lisa. So to me, what that says is, YouTube, we're going to sue you too, by the way, because we know you're fraudulent, you're lying. And by the way, the most advanced quantum mapping system in the world can track all of your data, and we'll be able to prove that too. So to show that you're completely fraudulent, you're taking away my constitutional rights, Dan's constitutional rights, and many others, and we're going to grab all those people together in a very loud voice, and we're going to make sure that we take over your platform. Because I think your platform is awesome. So I want to take it. I want to file a lawsuit that says, look, you don't have the right because you violated your own community guidelines constantly and repeatedly. You sculpted a message to change the way that people think and alter the reality that they are creating themselves, right? In a platform that is supposed to be all about, giving people a voice. So I think that's one of the things I've got other people working on, how to do that the right way.
I think.
So I realized.
Yeah, I think they really should lose it. The people in control of it, and anyone that actually had ever made any the shares, and that it should all be taken at a certain point, and restitution made to all those people that have bought into it as shareholders as well. And then everything turned over to Leader Technologies, who actually developed all of this technology, and it was stolen by the government, and seeded into it. So there is I do not know if Trump took him up on the offer to take over that technology, but in the same month that they gave it to him, he called in the social media people into his office. So I don't know, but it does seem like there is something to be said. Also, these data breaches that you may have picked up on in the last couple weeks. This is not an accident. Facebook leaked all these phone numbers. No, this is not an accident. They're doing this on purpose because they want to then be able to claim it wasn't them, right? That it was these hackers, right, that took this information and did things with it, right? It's so obvious, that this is what they're doing, and it's across the board. All of them doing the same thing.
I don't know a hacker that you couldn't pay to hack into to Facebook. He doesn't hate these guys. I mean, hackers are like the pirates of the internet. I mean, they're like, screw these guys, screw authority.
Yeah.
But so Dan, we have good solutions. By the way, anybody out there who sees like views go down. So on the Speak project, right? They're really trying to keep. What they keep doing is they keep our numbers will get up to like 900 and drop down to 300, right? So and then they keep doing that over and over again, right? I've had lots of people tell me that, like, screenshot that for me. If you see that happen, if you see it get close to something, screenshot where it is, so that when it goes back down, we have record. Now that by itself, by the way, immediately constitutes RICO law, because anything that you can show in print and is provable. Now, you know how many? I probably have 30 of those right now. I have 30 screenshots of people doing that with other sites and my own, right, or other YouTube pages and my own. That all by itself would show that we could take down YouTube on RICO lawsuit. And one of the beautiful things about RICO, right, is this is a racketeering, organized criminal effort on their part, right, to deny income based on a system that they have said this is what our guidelines are, violating their own ethical guidelines, denying people money based on nothing. Because I have no community violations, I have no copyright violations whatsoever. And in this, because you can prove it, the lawsuit will settle much faster because you're just presenting, here are the facts, right? And it's triple damages. So whatever you're suing them for, you actually get paid triple that.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to that day because they definitely have suppressed my income. I'm not making anything from YouTube right now. I think it says for the last month it was like $30, $33 or something like that earned. I only get paid if it makes it to $100. So there won't be any checks coming from YouTube, at this point, because this is all from like older videos from people looking at stuff I did a long time ago. So that still makes a couple cents here and there along the way. But I'll take this moment to say I'm still in financial distress right now, and I appreciate the people that a couple people have contributed. One joined the website wwg1wga.love and did a $99 a year subscription. So that helps. I really appreciate that, and a couple others, so some smaller donations. And thank you very much for that. But my projects that were bringing money in, the money just was cut off like 3 nights ago, and at a very inopportune time. Let's put it that way. So anyway, thank you for your contributions, and but we'll just keep going, making it through.
Well, so I will say there's a lot of things that are happening with on the with the trust right now that I'm pretty excited about. Looking forward to that. I know this past week, just kind of rehack some of these things. I know they're, the whole cabal is falling apart, right? They're arguing about, they want to appoint a new Pindar because I guess John Von Wright's last Pindar, lost his mind and kind of folded. And my theory is that John Von Wright and Anna Von Wright are the same person, right? That that's why she thinks that she has the right to be in control of everything, right? Because that's what the Pindars think, right? That they're in control of everything. And as you know, they are the Pindar title is just a way that the draconian overlords at the top are mocking them, by naming them the penis of the dragon.
Right.
So but you can hardly tell them that, right? They think that means something. But they had they basically, I guess the group agreed, right? They came to no consensus about anything other than no one will be the Pindar, right? I guess they must have had to apply to be the Pindar, right? Which who knew? Who knew that would happen? And Dick Cheney, old tricky Dick there, he wants to be the new Pindar, right? And they're like, nobody's going to be the Pindar until somebody makes the RV happen. So just to be absolutely clear, and everyone out there who thinks the RV is this benevolent, righteous, your freedom, it's not. It is the beginning of the zombie apocalypse, and it will never, ever happen.
I thought it was supposed to happen this week, last Monday.
I'm sure everyone does. And, matter of fact, I was told today by this guy who actually does have a new system design that we're talking to, and he was saying, like, there was a big group at the White House that was buying Zim. I'm like, no, what are you guys doing? Who's there? I'm like, I need to know the names so I can tell Trump, like, listen, you got some retards in your office right now who are doing dumb things, right? Like, they're the ones who are messing things up, right? So I'm just saying because they should have access, not just say everybody bought currency, But anyways, so you have that's basically one of the things that's going on, right? Now, one of the other things they did, and I gotta ask, I'm not sure who this is, but I know the tables, right, were supposed to be like working with us, right? They like asked for information from Kim, right? And they allegedly they were going to do something, but I know that there was like 3 groups who got on the phone with Kim at the same time, right? So imagine these people, the nerve of these guys, I swear. They got Kim on the line and they're talking to her, trying to butter her up and keep her busy and distracted, right? And then they, while they're doing that, they're trying to hack the trust. Can you imagine? So it's like, really? I mean, that's really what you're doing? I can't even believe it. So
These
that's
guys,
what they did.
these clowns.
I don't. It's not even about. It's just a matter of. It's not really bad business. It's like Kim is really. I gotta say, like, sometimes I'll be on calls with her. I'll be like, she'll be rough with people, right? But I gotta be honest. She'll be like that, and I will cut people off in my mind. I'll tell them, like, look, we're done with you. Like, period. I'm like, give you a chance, and that's it. I mean, like, if I talk to them again, but Kim, sometimes I'll be like, they're done, like, because they betrayed us again, right? But you know what? Then she'll go and she'll make amends with them and work things out and give them another chance. You know what they do? The same thing.
Well, what's happened with the ones at the high table that were at the tippy top?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to. I'm sorry that wasn't clear, but so this week they were supposed to be. They asked for Kim's information, and then they were gonna, and they talked to her. They talked to her before, so I know that there was a group of 3 different groups like that, who had the same ability, who were talking to her. They could have changed all this, right? They could have, made the difference. And while they were talking to her, their respective groups were trying to hack the trust at the same time.
Right.
So they tried to distract her and hack the trust at the same time. Then the banks, which I think, by the way, I've got to tell everybody as I say these things, I understand that if this is all exactly true, it sounds a little bit bad, but I got to be honest. I don't think it's exactly true. I think this is what they're doing, right? So the banks, they said if the banks said they will not accept any money from the Treasury if it comes in from the Manna World Holding Trust, or if it comes in from Kim, right? So, which I gotta be honest, I just find it to be funny, because you're basically saying we're not going to accept any money because there's no place else for the money to come from, right? So, or they want Kim removed, right? They want to be in control. That's their big thing. Like, they want to be in charge. So they actually started a rumor that Kim was dead. And then they broke out the Hercules, basically a database system, right? Which is nothing. And then what they call it the Hercules Quantum Financial System, they brought it back into Reno. Now, for those of you who may not remember, back in September, the Hercules system lasted for 12 minutes. 12 minutes. So and she fried it. So now this is Hercules Part 2, right? It's coming back, and they have it in Reno now. They're trying to watch the RV. And so it's so funny. They think that they're going to distract her, and that's going to be enough, right? It's like it's just a tragedy. I mean, like, wow, they're this stubborn. They're so committed to not having any money now, and then it's upheaval in the order, right? Like, you got one group that's mad at another group, and they're getting orders to stand down from their higher ups, and another group's ignoring. Like, I don't know, all the it's all these different pieces like that. They're like, one saying this, another saying that, another one saying to work with the trust.
Well, now that the Rothschilds haven't been able to pull off the RV, they've now turned it around and said, okay, you guys come up with a plan. Mm-hmm. Right? So that just shows that they can't do it. Right? The Rothschilds have given up. Right? But these other guys, I can do it. If the Rothschilds weren't able to do it, then they're going to be able to do it. They don't even know how the system works. They think they know because they know that piece, right? But the will within the will within the will within the will, they think that they're in the center, but they're not.
It's just hilarious to me. It's like it's one thing if you're ignorant and you just no one ever told you, right? Like, no one told you. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a place for forgiveness, right?
Right.
If you were told, like, you were the smartest person in the world, right? And, like, and you kept saying things that just anybody with real intelligence knew weren't true, but no one ever told you, that's not your fault, right? And that is part of what's happened. And I have to be really honest, I really have a lot of compassion for the people that were raised in these programs, right? And they were raised with just very abusive and just violent images and a constant state of just horrible things happening to them and to others, and in a culture where that is applauded and love is something that is weak. And I'm really very impressed with the number of those people that have been through something like that, that come out, that are really actively like trying to do something to make amends for that, for the abuse that they went through. They don't want it to happen to someone else,
Right.
And there is an active group of people that are like that, and I'm meeting more of them all the time, and I'm not someone who would have considered them someone that I would have before, like previously. My attitude has changed about this because, I was kind of like, cash them all in, like they're all broken, but after talking to more and more of them, I'm like, man,
They're
They're
victims.
really giving everything they have, and they didn't know they were victims too, right?
Yeah. They're part of this different slave program. They're just playing over here in this reel, going back and forth, round and round, doing their playbook. What am I supposed to do? And they just follow the program, thinking that they bought into, the whatever they were given as their backstory, right? Oh, you're the tippy top. Except there's a gatekeeper. The gatekeeper to who?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, she's. I was talking to somebody the other day. They were saying one of the people who was raised, in the order, and she was saying how there's the hierarchy program, right? Now the hierarchy program kids, they still go through like the monarch training and all these different, horrible abuses and things, right? But they, usually they're trying to get them to live. They just want them programmable, right? Now, if they had, half a brain, they realize these are your offspring that you want to program to do exactly what you say, right? And to act a certain way. Now, if they could have just come up a little bit higher, they'd realize, oh, the reason why this is normal in your culture, it's not because you're special and elite and you understand something deep. It's because you were programmed, idiots. They programmed you to be slaves, and they wanted you to be the best slaves. So they pushed you right to the limit of breaking, to develop things in you, so you could, appear to be really, vastly superior. But you know what's vastly superior to that is love. Love your kids. You can't love a kid too much. One of the biggest myths is you don't want to spoil your kids. You know what? You can't spoil a baby. You can't love a baby too much. You can't hold a baby too much. You can't hug a baby too much. Kiss it too much. You can't take care of that baby too well. You just can't. It's impossible. No matter what you do, because even no matter what you give that baby, it still won't even match the way you feel about that child. I mean, I'm saying if you're taking care of them properly, not some perverted version, by the way, but the way it should be done. And I look at this, but in their world, that's weakness, right? You're making that child weak. Like, you know what? It is impossible. It is impossible for anyone to beat me at anything if they're doing it from a place of hate. Because no matter how much you hate, you will get worn out hating. It'll exhaust you so much that you will devour yourself. But you know what? You can't. Your hate will never beat my love, because love is nonstop. When you are in love, nobody's got to remind you you're in love. You're never like.
Oh yeah, right. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, you're not like exhausted because you're in love. You're in love. It's nobody had you, and not only that, but you're in love, and you'll feel that way the whole day. Everything in your life's a little bit better. Boss could be a little bit mean to you, but you're in love. You're like, that's okay. I got someone to go home to that I love, that I'm in love with, right? Yeah. There's no better feeling in this world. And you got a different kind of in love, but we'll be in love with our kids. Just in love with them. You're so excited. My daughter, I went to bed at like 3 in the morning. My daughter at 4 o'clock in the morning, found out I was exhausted. 4 o'clock in the morning. All I hear is my daughter next to me. She's like, I love you, Dad. and she got out of bed for whatever reason. And she just came to lay down with me. She woke me up. I had to go get her water and stuff, But I was like, oh my God, I would take that any day of the week. Being able to, comfort my daughter at night and take care of her. Man, you can't beat me with hate. It's a joke.
Yeah. No, love is infinite, right? Also, and you can't get enough.
Right.
And it's limitless. So when you're in love, you do what is necessary to help move mountains, to protect that individual, to help that individual to bring more love into being, right? It's addictive. And that's probably why in these programs, the cabal programs, they take their kids and have them raised by other families, so that they break this bond of love. Because that's natural. It's there. So just think that a whole society that has been created, outside of everyone else, with these people where they strive to get rid of love. Caring for one another, caring for your children. It's so unnatural. And that's why, by itself, without the money, it will just disappear itself. Because just think about it. They have to, let's say next month, they absolutely have not even they can't even go to the ATM and pull out money, right? Their cards don't work. They can't pay for anything. And what do they have after that? They have no ability to draw upon one another, because everyone is for themselves. You can't even go to your children. You can't ask, your children weren't raised by you. They don't even know who you are. Well, they know the name, and maybe they visit. I don't know what they do there, but this whole system of it can't be maintained, without this artificial, structure of the money.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you something else too. Even though right now they are, I mean, it's a, and I kind of like, put a footnote is that, I'm going after these things with this, and I'm going to make them very public as much as I'm able to do. And I'm going to actually pursue this lawsuit. That's kind of how I jumped down this path, anyways. Right before I met Kim, I was going after to sue Wells Fargo. And but in this particular situation, right, as we're going, I'm starting. I've got all the pieces already built, all the things in place to really start to go after them and file suit against them with this. You know what? I know nobody's ever won, but you know what? Nobody who ever did something for the first time ever did it until it was done, first of all. So I fully expect a win. Matter of fact, I expect it'll cause an uproar because I'm going to send it everywhere. And I don't know how many people generally do this who have a public platform where they're always speaking anyways. So I'm going to make sure to talk about every part of it. But even if I didn't win, you know what? It doesn't matter because I know that humans have the ability to naturally adapt and detoxify, and we can change even the results that they are causing, including autism, because of these vaccines. We can do that. We naturally have that ability. But there's other ways. There's things that we know about, and I'll say we're going to put that stuff out. So everything that they have, all their hate-based system, right, where they're going to just keep, grabbing at money, all that stuff is going to fail. It's all failing right now in front of everybody publicly. It's an epic fail. So even those who think that they're killing it right now, I'll say this, in my opinion, the vibration that I feel, it's an illusion. They think right now they got it on lock. The banks think they took a stand, right? But what I see is Kim is demonstrating, I keep giving you a chance. I keep giving you a chance. And you've taken a stand. Now here's the stance they've taken. They think they've got an answer, right? That they're going to bring in cryptocurrency. But I'm telling you, none of that crypto is going to be allowed to come into the system. None of the central banks, even though all the central banks are talking about getting their own crypto, none of it is going to be allowed to come in. Because the quantum mapping system, it maps everything, and when it sees that, it's going to kick it out. You're not going to be able to do it. Because the central banks, they're still part of the quantum system, because everything on this planet really is. So, I'm just excited about that, I'm encouraged, and I think we're knocking on the door to break through, and
I'm
break
ready.
it all open.
I'm ready to break through.
Me too.
Today, let's do it today. Transfer the money. I don't know what we're waiting for.
Money is just energy. Right? Money is just energy. Think about it.
It's currency. It's the current in the sea.
Right. That's right.
And it flows everywhere because we keep moving it. The issue is when we don't move it. And when there's nothing to move. So since 2008, when they couldn't draw it down anymore, they had to create it out of air, right? And when they create it out of air, basically we just have more QE1, QE2, QE3, dumping trillions of unbacked vapor money into the system. Just has this effect of having the currency that can flow out, but it's like blowing up a balloon, right? It's going to contract as soon as you stop blowing. And that's the problem with it, and it gets less and less valuable.
That statement is so much more true than many people realize. Yeah, they and they have and to be honest, like as long as you're putting money back into the system, it'd be fine, right? It can flow, but it's not. See, there's nothing else they can acquire to put into the trust, and the way the trust works is you have to put something in to get something out. They have nothing else they can offer the trust. That's why they cashed in everybody's Pacelli bonds. Then they sold back the broken bonds back to people that have already been cashed in.
Just the paper, yeah, just the paper. This is stuff that I had figured out along my trips through China and looking at different bonds and things, because we could verify if particular bonds were real issued bonds, right?
Right.
But I
right.
kept running into the where they were already encumbered was the word. You know,
Yep.
they were already used against another asset, meaning they were registered to the trust already. So,
Right.
all of them were, and it's just the boxes still existed, right, and sitting around, and people say, well, what can I do with this, right? Well, I think it's good. You know, they don't know. They don't understand the system. They think they really own a piece of paper it's worth something, right? But
And,
why can't they get anything out of it?
you know, and that's very true. And I'll tell you, just to validate what you just said, I had some Chinese war bonds. I think they were 1933, right? They were verified by Switzerland. We had all the paperwork to show these are absolutely real. There was a team of lawyers who had all these bonds. They were doing this big exchange. They were using the White Dragon to do it, right? And they did all this work. I mean, it was like 200 lawyers, like the best lawyers in this world of corruption and money laundering, but whatever, you know. But they were all like, we know what to do, we know how to do it, right? And they were all, and like the lawyer that one of my guys was talking to, he knew exactly what to do. He knew how to do it, and so I sent him the bond. I said, yeah, go for it, man. I don't care. I'm like, I know it's not going to happen because I had already run it by Kim, and I asked Kim, and she ran the numbers. She's like, no, this has already been cashed in. All the bonds have, but she did validate and told me that first, right? So I know for a fact that all those bonds, every Pacelli bond, every one of these, bonds that they say they're going to cash in, there's nothing there to cash in on. It doesn't exist. It's already been cashed in. So, so why not break away? See, because even now they're trying to do something with bonds, right? Chinese bonds right now. So that's probably why they're so cocky, right? They think they figured it out. Oh, no, we got it now. Now we're not taking anything from you. These same cats are going to come back begging. They're going to come back and say, no, we want to work with you now. I said, you know what? And I'm not sure what exactly Kim's limit is, but I'll tell you what. Here's what I think would be a great idea. If all of a sudden you had a system that was up and running, completely independent of the banks, and you didn't need them at all, and you just go ahead and let them collapse. And I'll tell you what, every one of the bank employees lose their job, who's just a regular person, right? We'll make sure that they get work and they get help. We'll make sure. But go ahead and let them collapse, because at this point, if they want to be that defiant, if they want to be that stout and that idiotic, that's fine. Let them. They can choose that life, and that's a choice they got to make. Nobody takes their free will. They were given every opportunity. That's fine.
And
so to all the bankers, good luck. We will not pander to you at all.
And nobody loves them.
Right. Nobody knows.
Nobody. No one cares for them. No one loves them because they're in that system that prevents them from developing bonds of caring and love. And so then their ATM cards won't work, and they won't be able to get any money, and the banks are now closed, and everyone's running around having access to funds except for them.
And the way I see it, I'll tell you, I know this is true. For everyone that tries to block funds, anyone who's been involved in blocking funds, anyone who tries to violate the actions of the trust, I know that Kim made arrangements that those individuals, they won't even have a bank account, and they won't be able to get a bank account anywhere in the world. They won't be able to receive a paycheck. They won't be able. I mean, that's how absolute it is. They will be erased from the system. So they can go live in the jungle somewhere and try to live off the land because they're not going to have access to any money. Now that's a reality that I know Kim told me about. I mean, a long time ago she had put that in place, and right now that seems very, very appropriate to me, right? That when the system launches, now you're cut off. Now the whole system, the way it runs on the actual source energy, right? It's run completely on 0-point energy. It's the first introduction to a fully functional, worldwide free energy system. Nothing can shut it off. Nothing they're doing can stop it. And it's connected directly to the RNA of the actual source where all the assets came from, and the DNA of the people. So when you open up that system, if that's cleaned out for everybody that's connected to it, you know what? It'll recognize you as you. And you know who'll be able to touch your money? You. You know who'll manage your money? You. You know who can't stop you? Anybody. So now you can still make bad decisions, but at least you can't have your money stolen from you.
Right. Yep, you can give it away. Yeah, you can go into many bad deals and transfer funds to them. No one can stop you from being stupid. Well, they say you can't fix stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you can't kill stupid. But at least, I was thinking about it like this is like in that situation, it's not like something that's gonna happen overnight, everybody's gonna be dropped money in their account. There's gonna be a process where it's like people that understand what's going on, like they'll be able to receive their funds or whatever, right? And then those people will do our best to educate, and we'll expand that educational program so that people understand how to live sovereign, right? And this is what TUI has really been all about. Teaching people how to live sovereign and teaching us all how to kind of go back to let's build something great, right? Bankers don't make anything. They make money, but they never make a difference.
I just sent a message to Tui. He reminded me. I said, just quick little message.
Well, I think it's a little bit late, and I think it's 11:11. It's time to end this.
End it. Sounds good to me. All right, everyone. Thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow. And for everyone who's helped send me a little bit, thank you. If anyone else would like to help me, I could really use it right now. But I have a Bitcoin address and a PayPal and a Western Union instructions in my description there. So see if you can help there. Thank you.
Cool, okay. Have a great night, Dan. Good night, everybody.
All right, bye-bye.